Hello, friends, and welcome to the Week 16 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Thursday. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined, as always, by good old MF Michael Fletcher. Maybe awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll see him again at this time tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk. Apologies for the late start. My browser would not open, so I had to do a restart. But we're up and running now. Everything's ready to go. So, before we start, though, I do want to let you know a small disclaimer. Tonight, we are dedicating tonight's show to the memory of legendary Pittsburgh Steelers running back Franco Harris, who passed away suddenly yesterday at the age of 72. There's a game that we will most certainly address it. We will certainly get into that a little more when it comes to the Steelers, who will be playing on Saturday, Christmas Eve night. So we'll address that when we get to that game, because that's going to be an emotional scene in Pittsburgh Saturday night. But for right now, we have Thursday night football going on right now. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars against the New York Jets at MetLife Stadium. 19-3, the Jacksonville Jaguars leading the New York Jets. 3.5 minutes remaining in regulation. It's all but likely. This will all likely end up in a victory for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And yes, as MF said in our private chat here, nice game for the Jags. Absolutely, it has been, especially the defense. I mean, they really came to play tonight. And we'll get into that as soon as once the game goes final. But while we're waiting for that, let's dive on into the remaining slate. Now, as we all know, this Sunday is Christmas, and what has been an annual tradition or a usual tradition when the calendar looks like this, we have, instead of the full Sunday slate of games on Christmas Day, we're going to have a full slate of games on Saturday for Christmas Eve. So with that, we're going to get into the first of those games right now. You know how it always is. 1 o'clock games on Fox and CBS. Only 2 late games. One at 4:05 on CBS, one at 4:25 on Fox, and then we have a prime time game on Saturday night. We have a triple header on Christmas Day, and then Monday Night Football as always. So let's start it off with the Saturday slate of action, starting off with a game that you will see on Fox, as it will feature the Atlanta Falcons squaring off against the Baltimore Ravens from M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. On Fox, Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Shannon Spake will be on the call for that one. And Baltimore opening up as a 6.5-point favorite. Baltimore leads the all-time series 4-2. They've won the last 2 meetings in this series. Last meeting, 2018 in Atlanta, Baltimore won 26-16. Last meeting in Baltimore was 2014. Baltimore won 29-7. The Falcons last beat the Ravens in 2010. That was in Atlanta, 26-21. Both Falcon wins came in Atlanta. Atlanta has never won in Baltimore. They're 0-2. This is only the 3rd meeting in Baltimore. So just to clear those schematics. So with that, let's dive on into our first matchup of this week, which is Atlanta and Baltimore. Trying to find into my notes here. All right, it's coming up. All right. The Ravens will look to get back on track after. Excuse me. Yeah, I apologize for those pop-up videos. So, yeah, I was not expecting that. So, all right. All these pop-ups. All right, here we go. The Ravens will look to get back on track after scoring just 3 points against the Cleveland Browns in Week 15, and their outlook will be much improved if Lamar Jackson can return from a knee injury. Backup quarterback Tyler Huntley can run Baltimore's offense, but he's nowhere near as accurate or as dynamic as Lamar. Baltimore made far too many mistakes against Cleveland, including a red zone interception, a blocked and a missed field goal, and a 4th down stop at the Browns' 1-yard line on their opening drive. The Ravens won't commit these types of miscues every week, especially if Jackson is under center. Meanwhile, Desmond Ritter's first start for the Falcons was one to forget, as the third-round rookie completed just 50% of his passes for 96 yards while taking 4 sacks. Atlanta could try to bludgeon the Ravens with Tyler Algier, who posted 139 rushing yards against the New Orleans Saints last week, but Baltimore ranks 5th in efficiency against the run over the previous 5 weeks, so the Falcons might be forced to rely on Desmond Ridder. So I got the Baltimore Ravens winning this game. My final score, I believe I have 27-13 for this one. Yep, that actually 26-13. I stand corrected. 26-13, but nonetheless, I got the Baltimore Ravens winning this game. 26-13, Baltimore over Atlanta. So not much more to say. So MF, come on in. Atlanta, Baltimore. Is this the week that Baltimore gets Lamar Jackson back? And if that's the case, they're in business once again.
They would be in business once again. This would be the golden opportunity for them. But on top of that, if for Baltimore, this could be the weekend they could actually make the playoffs. And on top of that, they got 10, count them, 10 clinching scenarios that they would need, 1 of 10, that will get them to the playoffs. So let me break it down. There's a lot. First, the obvious ones. A Baltimore win and a Miami loss or tie and a New England loss or tie, that gets them in. Scenario number 2, Ravens win, Dolphins loss or tie, or the New York Jets. And right now, this might be the best scenario for them. Jets loss or tie, and that will get Baltimore in. Right now, the Jets are currently losing, and it looks like they will lose this game. So this might be the first of that 3 that they need that would guarantee them in. Third scenario, a Baltimore win, a Patriot loss or tie, and a Jets loss or tie, and that gets the Ravens in. Like I said, because of the Jets situation right now, this might be the most likeliest scenario for Baltimore to get in. Now, if the Ravens do tie, no panic, because then they would need a Patriot loss and a Jet loss, or a Patriot loss, a Miami loss, and an LA Chargers victory, a tie, Patriot loss, Dolphins loss, and the Jets to tie in their game. But like we said, that's probably not going to happen. Ravens tie, Patriot loss, Jet tie, and a win by the Chargers. A Raven tie, Patriots tie, and then the Dolphins and the Jets need to lose their game. Scenario number 9, a Raven tie, Patriot tie, Jet tie, Miami losing, and the Chargers win. Or now this is the ultimate chaos moment. This is where the Patriots will lose, the Jets would lose, the Cleveland Browns would lose, the Raiders lose, the Titans lose, and the Chargers wins their game. And if all that happens, then the Baltimore Ravens make the playoffs. I know. That's a lot. That is a lot of scenarios. Let me go with the most obvious one. The Ravens will win on Saturday. And because of that, you have the scenario with the Jets losing. All they would need is either the Patriots to lose to the Bengals, and we'll get into that a little bit, or Miami losing on Christmas Day against the Green Bay Packers. We'll get into that. But at the end of the night, this should be the moment for the Ravens. I do believe they'll win this game. Florio, it is all yours.
All right, and we have a final. It is official. The Jacksonville Jaguars have defeated the New York Jets. 19-3 is the final. The Jaguars improved to 7-8. The New York Jets dropped to 7-8. So with that, next week, Jacksonville on New Year's Day will be going to Houston for what I can already confirm will be our Zonk game of the week next week. Yeah, which is no doubt about that. We already know that the Jags and the Texans are going to be our Zonk game of the week for next week. As for the Jets, they're going to be cross-flexed over on Fox, and they will be facing off against the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle on New Year's Day. So
not an easy game on that one either. Not an easy game for the Jets, and now it's desperation time. They got a hope and they need a miracle now. The Jets are in deep trouble, and if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, all of a sudden, even though you've been struggling a little bit lately, it looks like you're peaking at the right moment. Tennessee is starting to come right back to you. Is it possible the Jacksonville Jaguars could they actually upend the Tennessee Titans and steal this division from them?
There's a possibility of that happening.
There's a very good chance. That schedule looks really good for Jacksonville now.
At Houston.
Yeah.
At Houston next week. And then after that, week 18, it's Tennessee at Jacksonville.
And think about this.
Could be our game of the week. Who knows?
Not only could be the game of the week, is it possible could a division title be on the line?
It could be at the absolute worst, a 4:25 game, or it could even
that
get
could
that
be prime time.
Slot.
Yeah, that's a prime timer.
If it's necessary and warranted enough, because remember we got other scenarios, and the network will want the much bigger the more sexier and attractive matchup. But we gotta wait.
I do agree with that.
Still got a bit of a ways to go, but you never know. It could happen. I mean, it would be something, but that would be the best case scenario. But then again, we could also have a 4:25 game. So we'll have to wait and see. Because remember, once all the results of Week 17 are final, then the networks will come together and figure out the content that we're going to get. So, all right, Michael Bullock has just joined us. So, we'll you don't have much to catch up on, Bullock, because we got a bit of a late start because of my issues on my computer issues. But we'll get to you in a minute. So hold tight for a second, because we're about to recap Thursday Night Football, which has just gone final. The Jacksonville Jaguars defeating the New York Jets 19-3. Both teams' records now stand at 7-8. Jacksonville will go to Houston for our Zonk game of the week next week on New Year's Day. And the Jets will be cross-flexed over on Fox. They'll be going to Seattle against the Seahawks. For the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, 20 of 31, 229 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Travis Etienne had 83 yards rushing. Trevor Lawrence had the only touchdown of the game, which was very reminiscent of what we saw JA-17 do when he went for that 2-point conversion against the Dolphins, which changed the complexion of that game. Evan Engram, 113 yards receiving on 7 catches. Defense played very well this evening. They recorded 3 sacks and an interception, and also shut down the Jets. Zach Wilson started the game. He went 9 of 18 for 92 yards, no TDs. He threw a pick. Streveler kid who came in, went 10 of 15 for 90 yards, no TDs, no picks. And Streveler was also the leading rusher, 54 yards on 9 carries. Carter had 44 yards receiving to lead the team. Defense only recorded 1 sack, and that was their sack man, Quinnen Williams. He had a sack in his first game back from injury after he got injured in the Buffalo game a couple weeks ago. So that's the story when it comes to Jags and Jets. This was a dud game. But then again, a lot of games this year on Thursday Night Football have been duds, and this unfortunately was a dud. But then again, you could put it on Mother Nature, because Mother Nature wreaked havoc in this game, but not too much havoc. Just heavy rain. There was heavy rain, and there was also some winds and all that. But yeah, this was a blech game, and even though this was our number 3 game of the week, this had a feel of a zonk. this is this would have been a perfect Zonk game if only the records had warranted it. But it was our number 3 game. But let's be realistic. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the rise. The New York Jets are on the decline. That's all there is to it. So Jets are in big trouble now. Jacksonville now in prime position to not only go to the postseason but possibly win the AFC South. All they got to do is just keep on winning, and they have a winnable game next week, although it's at Houston. So we'll see what happens. They're 4-1 since coming off their bye week in week 11, so they're playing their best ball in the right time. And if Tennessee loses to Houston, Jacksonville would actually be in first in the division, and they control their path to the AFC South title. They control their own destiny here, and just amazing. So what a story for this team. And ever since the Jets came off their bye, they're 1-5, and they've lost 4 in a row now. So sky's falling for the Jets, but the Jags are quietly on the rise. I mean, like I said last night, they are to the AFC what the Detroit Lions are to the NFC. A team that started off very bad, but has now all of a sudden come out of nowhere and is starting to play their best ball, and they're doing so. They are damn sure doing so at the right time. So, yeah, you could not have picked a better time to play your best ball. So that's all there is to it. So Jacksonville wins and on to Houston, and then at home against Tennessee, Week 18, possibility the AFC South Division title's on the line in that game. So, and that could be a prime timer or it could be a 425. We'll have to wait and see, because once Week 17, all the games go final, then we'll know how the networks stand, and then we'll break that all down in a couple of weeks. But for right now, Jacksonville wins 19-3. MF, this is your kind of game. I know how much you love these games that are played in heavy rain. There may not have been any mud or slop on the field. I know how much you love that, but hey, at least you got the heavy rain. You got the gusty winds, and well, not really too gusty.
I don't really mind. I'm not really a big fan of the gusty winds. But I do love the rain. Yes, I love the mud bowls.
Like we saw in week 1. Like we saw in week 1 with that San Francisco-Chicago game, which I know you'll never forget.
That's my dream right there. That's my dream. That's my love. I know Anthony loves the snow. I love the rain.
And the cold, too.
Huh?
And the cold, too. And we got a lot of cold games coming up this week.
Yeah, we got a lot of cold games coming up this weekend. No doubt about it. I will say this.
Jags and Jets, though, MF. I mean, how about these Jags, man? I mean, these Jags, like I said, they are to the NFC what Detroit is to the NFC. A team that started out blah, and all of a sudden they're coming out like gangbusters. What's going on here?
It's all the coach. It's all about the coach. It's about the winning mentality that Doug Peterson has. And remember, this guy led the Philadelphia Eagles with Nick Foles to the Super Bowl. So obviously, this guy knows how to win those games. He actually has made Trevor Lawrence a relevant quarterback in the NFL now. Trevor Lawrence, everybody thought he was going to be the number 1 overall pick bust. Everybody thought that he was not going to do good, that he was going to be horrible, that he was going to be. Now we're starting to see why he was the number 1 overall pick. And you're starting to see Trevor Lawrence starting to mold a little bit of that Trevor Lawrence from Clemson when he became that national champion. Trevor Lawrence has really done an amazing job, a great turnaround. He's got some very good receivers. He's got a good running back in Travis Etienne. And on top of that, a very underrated defense. And we saw that defense flying around tonight at MetLife. And that's why Jacksonville is in the position that they are in right now. It's not because of, they could have done this way, could have gone this, blah, 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 blah. No, they played the right way. They styled, they looked, they schemed, and they did everything that they did. Now, the Jets, I'm sorry, they're a complete and utter mess. That's a fire sale going on right now in New York. Zach Wilson, kiss your days as the New York Jets starting quarterback. Goodbye. You are done. You are not going to be the quarterback for the remainder of the season. I'm pretty sure you're going to get deactivated for the remainder of the season. Your days as the quarterback for the New York Jets are done. And I'll go one further. I think his NFL career is now over in one foul swoop. So, because I don't think any team's gonna pick up Zach Wilson, um, because of his prima donna attitude, his lack of play, his lack of consistency on the football field, and just the mere fact that it doesn't look like he grasps it or understands it, what it is to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. I'm sorry, I don't see it, I don't realize it. I know I'm coming wicked hard, and I know I'm being very, very harsh here, but I need to be brass tacks, and I need to be. I don't want to be. I don't want to say the quote unquote the guy who tells it like it is, like Anthony Floyo normally does in wrestling. But I need to tell it like it is right now. Zach Wilson is not a starting quarterback in the NFL. Period. And a quotation and a statement with that. The Jets.
And there's another thing you got to say about him. I mean, he doesn't take responsibility for some of the mistakes he made.
No, and that was the ultimate downfall. That press conference that he had, which I think was like a month ago, that was the
Patriots.
moment. Huh?
I think it was after the game against the Patriots, I think.
Yes, it was the game against the Patriots, which like I said, I think it was about a month ago. And that was the minute, not only did he lose the locker room, not only did he lose the fan base, that was the moment to me, to you, Anthony, to you, Michael Bullock. We all saw with our very eyes, this guy is not meant to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, period. I didn't want to say it because you know me. I'd rather hold my tongue. I'd rather hold my thoughts. But if there's something in my mind and you know I'm gonna blast, I open fire and I don't care who's in the middle. I don't care who's in the middle of that barrage. Once I go, it's gone. So I'm just saying right now, that's end game. It's the end game for Zach Wilson as a New York Jet quarterback. Now, where do you go from here? Is it Mike White? Do you think about drafting a quarterback in an upcoming NFL draft? I think, honestly, there's plenty of quarterbacks out there. I think it's a pretty good class. I think that's the one thing I think the Jets have to really start thinking very, very, very honestly is what are they going to do? Because obviously you got the team that can make a run. You got the receiving core. You got a defense. Robert Saleh is a very good coach. It's just the quarterback play has sunk the New York Jets. It's not anything else. Defensively, and you notice the level of play tonight, Anthony. Normally, any other time, the Jaguars probably does not play great. Even though, yes, they're great and they're having this great run and they're really starting to dominate, but relatively speaking, normally traditionally we would say, oh, this is the same old Jags. This would not be the usual thing, this and that, blah, 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 blah. The Jets had so much expectations from the draft night through free agency. We thought they were going to be a threat in the AFC East. We thought they were going to be at least a playoff team, and they were in it. They were there. But now this losing streak now puts them out. And on top of that, I think by the end of the weekend, this could be end game for the New York Jets. But there's really nothing more to say. So, Michael Bullock, it's all yours, my friend.
Bullock, give your thought on Jags and Jets, and then give a quick thought. We only previewed one game already, and that is the Atlanta Falcons and the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, and you know what? I agree with everything that Fletch just said. I mean, well, first off, this was a dud game, no doubt about it. But you know what? It wasn't pretty, but I'm sure the Jags will take it because I mean, the Jags, I mean, look, they may not make the playoffs, but they are certainly looking to be a legitimate threat to at least make a run for it as we go through these last three games of the season. And whatever Doug Peterson is doing, I mean, we're seeing the same thing that he did with the Philadelphia Eagles when they won the Super Bowl. So, yeah, nice win for the Jags, but with the Jets, I agree with everything MF said. I mean, I think I think Zach Wilson's days as a starting quarterback in the NFL are done. It is finished. I mean, he hasn't proven much in this league, and I think he really started the locker room, like Fletch said, when those interceptions he threw against the Patriots. And Zach Wilson wasn't held. I mean, he didn't hold himself accountable. That press conference where, I mean, he didn't hold himself accountable for any of them. And I think this is where he started to lose the locker room. And Robert Saleh was like, you know what? Your ass is on the bench, and we're going with Mike White. And the Jets were doing so well with Mike White as the starter. But of course, White's hurt, and they had no choice but to go back to Zach Wilson. And now you're seeing the end result here. So, yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. I mean, if Zach Wilson, whenever he becomes a free agent, I mean, come on, guys. Do you really think there's going to be a team out there? I mean, come on, Fletch and Floyer. Do you really think there's a team out there who's probably watching Zach Wilson right now and saying, we want to take a chance on that guy? Do you really think they're going to be out there saying, let's take a chance on him?
The only way Zach Wilson gets another shot at the NFL is if a team is in desperate need. Basically, if there's another, now don't quote me on this, if there is another Deshaun Watson incident, or if a team is really, really desperate where they don't believe the starting quarterback or the backup quarterback that they have is worthy enough, then obviously a team might try to take a flyer on Zach Wilson. Right now, the one team that I could honestly say who could be the Carolina Panthers. And also keep a close eye on the Indianapolis Colts as well. They might be the two teams you might want to keep a close eye on because they got major quarterback issues on their squads right now. And they might be desperate enough where they might take a flyer on Zach Wilson.
Yeah, but other than that, I don't see any team wanting to take a shot at him.
I honestly believe he shouldn't. He's not mature enough. He's not mature enough, and he doesn't have the mechanics. I don't believe it.
And I don't know about you, Fletch. Wouldn't you say that Zach Wilson is arrogant? Is it the right way to put it? I mean, just by the way he doesn't hold himself accountable for some of the mistakes he makes.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the thing is, New York City is not a city to be messing around with. So you know, the minute the New York press and the New York media turns on you, oh my God, it's a Pearl Harbor job.
Yeah,
It is Pearl Harbor job. And I'm going to use a gorilla-ism there. It is literally a Pearl Harbor job.
Yeah, and if he did that at any other state, perhaps he gets away with it. But you do it in New York, or for that matter, in Boston, aka New England, the media there is not going to be afraid to come at you with guns blazing. So, no, Zach Wilson should not be a starting quarterback in the NFL again. Flora, are you with me on that?
Absolutely. He's terrible.
Yeah, he sucks. I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, this may sound crazy. I'd rather have Deshaun Watson over Zach Wilson. I mean, Yeah, but anywho, I mean, getting back to this, I mean, nice win for the Jaguars here. And as for now, what was the game for you that you guys already talked about?
The Atlanta Falcons and the Baltimore Ravens.
All right, I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens here. I mean, yes, Lamar Jackson is going to be out for a third straight game, but I like what I've seen from their backup, and I just think they're the better team, and they're the ones that really need the wins more if they want to get into the playoffs. So I'm going with the Ravens. So let's move on, Florio.
All right, and we move on to our next matchup, which features, well, we just talked about them a moment ago. You remember I compared them to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's talk about the other team that started blah and has come on like gangbusters as of late. The Detroit Lions, as they will be on the road. They will be taking on the Carolina Panthers from Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. This will be over on Fox, and on the call for that one will be Chris Myers, Robert Smith, and Jen Hale. And just got to get my spreadsheet back up and running here. Detroit opening up as a 2.5-point favorite. Carolina, however, leads the all-time series 7-3. Their last meeting was 2 years ago in Charlotte. Carolina won easily 20-0. The last meeting, and Detroit last beat Carolina in 2018, 20-19. That was in Detroit. Detroit has only won in Carolina once, and that was all the way back in 1999. Their very first meeting, 1999, Detroit won in Charlotte, 24-9. So not much more to say here. MF, the Jacksonville Jaguars have suddenly become, a darling in the AFC. Let's get into the other darling, only on the other side. The darlings of the NFC as of late. The Detroit Lions, started 1-6 and have since gone 6-1. And they got a gimme game against Carolina. I think we might have to make it 7 out of 8 here. These guys are on a roll.
Yeah, and the thing is, the funny thing is, I watch the Pat McAfee show. There's a fan on the Pat McAfee crew that is a Detroit Lions fan. And the one thing that we've always hear and they always joke about is the same old Lions. How whenever something good happens, they stink, they fall apart. They just where you think that they're gonna get a victory, something goes wrong and they lose that game. Ever since Dan Campbell became the head coach, the thing is, their identity was that they were not going to be the same old Lions. There's that joke that, we're going to gnaw the kneecaps off some players and, we're going to give all this stuff and blah, 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 blah. And, of course, it's a nod, wink, wink. And, some of us, excuse me. And some of us was like, yeah, right. It's the Lions. Like, they're going to do anything. They're going to do anything special. I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, the Lions are for real. And this is by far one of the best turnarounds we've ever seen in the NFL. Jacksonville is one thing. The Detroit Lions is another thing. Jacksonville, the same thing. We thought they were not going to be anything special. We thought they were going to be at the bottom of the division. And all of a sudden, they got life. Now they have a shot to win the division. Where Detroit, the way things are breaking down, they are actually on the cusp of making the playoffs. Now, they're not there yet. They need a lot of help along the way for them to get in. But they are actually not out of the picture. If they keep winning these games, if they keep doing what they're doing, the Detroit Lions will put themselves in a prime spot that they could actually have an outside shot of making the playoffs. Currently, Detroit, it's not a great opportunity but they have a 26.8% chance of making the playoffs. But if some certain games goes their way, not only does that odd number go up, but they might actually have a chance to make the playoffs. But they need a few teams to lose. They would need Seattle to lose along the way. They would need Washington to lose along the way. They probably need Tampa. They would probably need, and they would love to see the Giants lose here this upcoming week, because any loss there and a Detroit win increases their odds of making the playoffs. And right now, they are the hottest team in the NFL, and I do believe they'll get the job done yet again. Give me the Detroit Lions to keep their hope alive, and I do believe that they will make a run here. It's going to get tight. It's going to get interesting, but I do believe they'll get in. So, or I do believe they'll win this game. So, Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm with you, Fletch, on this one. Right now, this Detroit team, yeah, they were 1-6, and now all of a sudden, this team is in a spot to where they can make the playoffs. If you would have told me back when they were 1-6 that they have a shot at making the playoffs, I would have called you crazy. But whatever they're doing, whatever Coach Dan Campbell is doing, he's got this team believing in themselves. So I'm with you. I got the Detroit Lions winning this one and continuing on this hot streak that they're on right now. So Florio, it is yours.
The 2022 NFL season has come in waves for fans of many franchises. The Detroit Lions were 1-6 at Halloween, and the Carolina Panthers fired Matt Rule after starting 1-4. Now, the Lions have rattled off 6 wins in their last 7 games and are firmly in the NFC wildcard hunt. Meanwhile, the Panthers are still in NFC South title contention because nobody in the Southern United States wants to win any division. 3 of Carolina's 5 wins this season have come inside their own division. They surprised us with a victory at the Seattle Seahawks 2 weeks ago, but lost to a Mitchell Trubisky-led Pittsburgh Steelers team last week at home. Conversely, Football Outsiders ranks the Lions as the league's 4th most efficient team in the league since their streak started, with their defense finally complementing what has been a good offense all season. Although it feels insane to say a 5-win team heading into their 15th game doesn't need to win this game more than the 7-win team to make the playoffs, there's truth to that statement. However, it would mean that Tampa Bay must lose another game aside from their matchup with Carolina next week. Detroit simply seems a bit too strong at the moment. I got the Detroit Lions winning this game as well. Final score for me, 27-17, Detroit over Carolina. Speaking of playoff implications, oh yeah, here we go. My Buffalo Bills squaring off against the Chicago Bears, Soldier Field in Chicago. It's going to be cold, friends. Oh, yes, it is. We'll get into that in a moment. On CBS, and you got to feel for the announcers of this game because of that bone-chilling cold they're going to be in. The legendary Greg Gumbel, Anna Marcelletta, and AJ Ross. They will be in Chicago for that one. Buffalo opening up as an 8.5-point favorite. Series history actually favors Chicago. Chicago leads the all-time series 8-5. Their last meeting was 2018 in Buffalo, and Chicago all over Buffalo in that game, 41-9 beatdown. Last meeting in Chicago, 2014. Buffalo winning in Chicago, 23-20 in overtime. The Bears' last win at home against Buffalo, 2006, the year the Bears went to the Super Bowl. Easy 40-7 win that day. So, Michael Bullock, started with you. There's nothing left to say except for this. Buffalo wins. Your Buffalo Bills will be AFC Eastern Division champs for the 3rd year in a row. What a story.
Yeah, that's all they got to do is win, and they will clinch the division. And yeah, I mean, I think they should have no problem with the Bears here. But yeah, both teams are going to have to deal with those with the bone chilling temperatures that's going around the middle portion of the U.S. I mean, it's no joke, guys, with this. Not just with the snow, but that Arctic cold that they're dealing with. As a matter of fact, in one part of the U.S., guys, especially in Wyoming, guess what the wind chill was?
How bad was it, Bullet?
I don't know how you're gonna feel of what I had to say. Try minus 76.
Yeesh.
What?
Yikes.
I watched on the news, and they reported a wind chill of minus 76. I'm not freaking joking.
Youch.
So
my God.
Oh.
So thankful that both of those teams aren't playing there.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Because forget about minutes. You could get a frostbite in seconds.
Hypothermia, like legit, like within moments.
Yeah, thankfully we won't be getting. I mean, we'll be getting cold temperatures, but nothing close to what they're getting over there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so no worries about that. But I feel for those people there. So my best advice to those people: do not go outside, because it is just it's just not worth it.
No.
With those temperatures. So yeah, getting back to this, yeah, Buffalo should have no problem with this one. I see them winning this game, this division. So nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
Yes, sir. Just trying to find it in my notes here. All right, here we go. It's coming up. All right. Buffalo is back to their winning ways. The Bills rattled off 5 straight wins in their pursuit of the top seed in the AFC, beating 4 playoff hopeful teams in a row, including 3 divisional opponents. Losing Von Miller hurt situationally, but the Bills were built well on the defensive front before his arrival, and getting Tre'Davious White back has been a boost to the secondary, which has battled injuries all season. Josh Allen remains one of the most unfair chess pieces in the NFL. And even though it's been sporadic, James Cook has come on as of late. Justin Fields is another incredible weapon, albeit different from Allen. Fields is a more athletic version of what Allen could have been early in his career had Buffalo used him to his full capabilities on the ground. But the Bears simply don't have the talent to contend with Buffalo for 60 minutes. So with that, of course, you know where I'm going. I got the Buffalo Bills winning this game as well. Buffalo wins. My final score, 37-21. The Buffalo Bills defeat the Chicago Bears, clinch the AFC East for the 3rd year in a row, and will at least for one more week hold on to that number 1 seed in the AFC. As long as they and KC remain tied, they will have it because of their tiebreaker over KC as a result of their win in October. So, and by the way, game time temperature will be 10 degrees. It'll be 10 degrees at kickoff. It'll get up to 11. It'll be between 10 and 11 degrees throughout that game. So it won't even be in the teens. So, but that's going to be something, me and my cold weather games. So with that, 37-21, Buffalo over Chicago. Not much more to say here. MF, Buffalo and Chicago in what we could essentially call a freezer bowl in Chicago. My goodness.
Freezer Bowl, definitely agreed on that as well. There isn't going to be much to talk about here. So, yeah, I do believe Buffalo should get the job done. They should win this game. That will give them the AFC East. But if for some reason Buffalo does get tripped up, no panic. Buffalo would also need the other scenario for Buffalo is the Miami Dolphins losing to the Green Bay Packers. If for some reason Buffalo does lose, then they would have to wait one more day, see what happens with Miami, and then if Miami loses, then Buffalo clinches the AFC East. So there's a couple of scenarios for Buffalo here. But obviously, win and they got it. However, if they don't win, then they could still win the division with the Dolphin loss. Then that would be the end of that. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
And that's our number 8 game of the week on our side of the ledger. We got 9 on our side of the week, and that came in at number 8. There's only one game that's worse, but we'll get into that in a little bit. All right, next up, we will get into the game that will feature the. This is actually our number 5 game of the week here. It's a cross-flex game, as it will feature the New Orleans Saints squaring off against the Cleveland Browns. First Energy Stadium in Cleveland, the Dog Pound, of course. On the call for that one, it'll be Spiro Ditas, Jay Feely, and Aditi Kinkabuela. They will be there. And let me see. The spread favors the Cleveland. Cleveland opening up as a 3-point favorite. Cleveland leads the all-time series 13-5. Last meeting was 2018 in New Orleans. New Orleans won 21-18. Last meeting in Cleveland, 2014. Cleveland won 26-24. New Orleans' last win in Cleveland was in 2006, 19-14. And I think this is another game that is going to have cold weather as well, like we talked about in Chicago. According to my notes here. My weather forecast here. I believe we're supposed to have Arctic temperatures for this game as well. It's right around the same boat as Chicago. It's going to be about 10 to 11 degrees at kickoff, right around 12 to 13 or so near the end. But I think we're going to have snow on top of that as well. So it's looking like there's going to be snow in the forecast as well in Cleveland. So keep an eye on that as well. So, all right. So, hold on here. It's going to be blustery with snow showers, snow accumulations less than an inch. So, but that's going to be a scene. So, all right. So, New Orleans and Cleveland. Let's dive into that one. So, let me find it here. Because these games are scattered all over the place. So, okay. With wind chills in Cleveland expected to be around minus 10 degrees and the Saints and Browns struggling on offense, it's no wonder the game total is at 32.5 points and dropping. If it holds, this will be the lowest over-under since at least 2008. Since returning from suspension, Deshaun Watson ranks just 22nd of 31 qualifying quarterbacks in expected points added per dropback. During that span, Cleveland's offense has been bailed out by exemplary play from the Browns' defense, second in EPA per play, and special teams, third in DVOA. With the playoffs mostly a lost cause, Cleveland needs to develop some offensive rhythm to close the season and feel good heading into 2023. Andy Dalton has been incredibly efficient over the last 4 weeks, completing more than 70% of his passes for 8.53 yards per attempt, 6 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Dalton is no one's idea of a long-term quarterback option, but given the Saints' lack of future cap space or draft capital, the 35-year-old could be an affordable stand-in again next season. So with that, tough one to call, but I am going to go with the Cleveland Browns to win this game. I say Cleveland wins. I'm going to say final score 23-16. Cleveland knocks off New Orleans. So not much more to say here. MF, another Freezer Bowl type game, New Orleans and Cleveland in our number 5 game of the week on the Crossflex.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty interesting matchup, but I do believe Cleveland should be able to win this game. It's going to be a little bit tough. It'll be a little tricky, but I got the Cleveland Browns winning as well. So, Michael Bullock, I'll give it to you.
What was the matchup here, guys?
New Orleans and Cleveland.
Yeah, I got Cleveland winning this one as well. So there's really nothing more to say. Let's move right on to our next game.
All right, and that next game is one of the top games on the Fox side of the ledger. I actually have this as the number 3 game of the week for the Fox side, as it will be the Seattle Seahawks squaring off against the Kansas City Chiefs from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, and Laura Oakman will be on the call for that one. And the spread favors Kansas City. Kansas City opening up as a 10-point favorite. And the series history between these two former AFC Western Division rivals from back in the day, as we all know, Kansas City leads the all-time series 33-19. Their last meeting was 2018 in Seattle. Seattle won a wild one, 38-31. Last meeting in Kansas City, 2014, Kansas City winning 24-20. Seattle has not won in Kansas City since they were division rivals. Seattle's last win at Arrowhead, you got to go back to 1999 when Seattle last won in Kansas City. 31-19 was the final there. So not much more to say here. MF, the number 3 game of the week on the other side, on the Fox side. Seattle, they started promising. They've been rather as of late. But Kansas City's been no better, even though they're great. They barely got by Denver and Houston. 2 games they should have won handily, both.
Yeah, no, I think they're starting to play down to their competition, and that's not a good thing to do, especially at this time of the year. You don't want to be struggling going into the postseason. But no, I do believe that. For me, honestly, I do believe that that can't Kansas City should be able to turn it around. They should be able to wake up and get their jobs done, and I think they will. It's not going to be a pretty game, but at the end, I do believe they'll win this one. So give me 35-21. I got Kansas City winning. So Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, what is going on with Kansas City? I mean, yeah, they've won some of these games, but the thing is, they've barely gotten by teams that they should have been able to handle very easily here. So yeah, I mean, but I got a feeling that even with that, I do expect them to win this one. So I got Kansas City winning. So it's yours, Florio.
Yeah. Very surprising to see what's been going on with KC as of late. But Seattle is not desperate yet, but they do find themselves on the outside looking in at the NFC playoff race. After looking like a shoo-in for the playoffs, they've lost 4 of their last 5, with their defense being the main culprit along the way. That's bad news considering who they face on Saturday. The Chiefs have the best offense in the NFL, and it's not particularly close. Patrick Mahomes is still the best player on the planet, and Travis Kelce is about as reliable as a Toyota Hilux. Geno Smith has proven to be a quality option for Seattle. He appears to be a somewhat long-term solution for them at QB, but he'll need to go toe-to-toe with Mahomes in an offensive slugfest to win this game, if his defense continues to play as poorly as they have recently. Unfortunately, that's easier said than done without Tyler Lockett on the field. Kansas City wins, and you know what, F? I like that score so much, I'm actually going to agree with you on it. 35-21. I got Kansas City defeating Seattle. So, yeah, I agree with you on that score, MF. That's the exact same score I had. So, there you go. All right, next up, the number 2 game of the week on Fox. This is the game I consider their number 2 game. The New York Giants squaring off against the Minnesota Vikings, US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. On Fox, we got Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, and Christina Pink. They will be handling the call of that one. And the spread favors Minnesota. Minnesota opening up as a 4-point favorite. And the series history between these two, it favors the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota leads the all-time series 16-10. Minnesota's won the last 3 meetings in a row in this series. Their last meeting was 2019 in New York. Minnesota won 28-10. Last meeting in Minnesota, 2016. Minnesota won that one by a score of 24-10. The Giants' last win in Minnesota was in 2004, 34-13 at the old Metrodome. So not much more to say here. MF, number 2 game of the week on the Fox side. Minnesota finally winning. All right. tale of two teams here. The Giants, nice win in Washington last Sunday night. They got a big win in Washington on Sunday night. But the Minnesota Vikings, the toast of the league last week, they now hold they set a new record for the greatest comeback in NFL history, surpassing a record we never thought would be broken. That infamous 35-3 comeback by Buffalo against the then Houston Oilers in that legendary wild card game 30 years ago in Buffalo. But last Saturday, the Minnesota Vikings came back from 33-0 down against Indy and beat Indy 39-36 in OT to win the NFC North. Unreal.
Yeah, there's nothing more to say, man. That was a tremendous victory, a comeback for the ages. People were freaking out. Social media was going absolutely bonkers, and sure enough, we had history made. So I mean, great win, great moment. Now here they are, and it's about to get really interesting. If you are a fan of the Minnesota Vikings, you're thinking, what have we just done? And where do we go from here? How do we literally do for an encore after coming back from what was a surefire loss and to do what they did? I mean, my goodness. I don't think there's any explanation, any reason, anything like that would make us say that this was without a doubt the most remarkable comeback in NFL history. And that's exactly what it is. It is the most remarkable comeback in NFL history, and none of us saw this coming. And for me, Minnesota, you have a newfound respect for me. Kirk Cousins, you got a newfound respect coming from me. That was a huge win, a big time win under so much circumstances, because you had social media poking fun at you guys for about a good half, because a lot of people were like, is this the same Minnesota Vikings? What the heck is going on? Did they sleep behind the wheel? Did they not know that there was a game today? Oh no, they knew. They woke up and we're like, oh my God, here they come. So yeah, that horn went off. That bugle horn of the Viking started sounding, and we're like, uh-oh. Here they come, and man, that's what we get for sleeping on that team, man. Unbelievable performance. I do believe they'll turn it. They should be able to beat the New York Giants. The Giants had the demoralizing loss, actually a big win for them. They gotta stay in front. I don't know. This is gonna be too tough. Maybe a close game, but I feel like the Vikings are gonna be just enough. I got 31-27 Minnesota over New York. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that comeback, I mean, that was just one of the greatest things I've ever seen. I mean, to be down 33-0, and for them to be able to come back like that, I mean, that's just something that I think everybody's going to be talking about for a long, long time. So, yeah, yeah, I got Minnesota winning this one as well. I mean, I think the Giants will definitely give them a run for their money in the beginning, but I just think Minnesota is the better team here. So I got Minnesota winning this one. It's yours, Florio.
Yeah. By completing the largest comeback in NFL history against the Indianapolis Colts, the Vikings clinched their first NFC North title since 2017. Minnesota faces a very narrow path to to unseeding Philadelphia for the number 1 seed in the NFC. So the next 3 weeks will largely revolve around preparing for the playoffs. Meanwhile, the New York Giants put themselves in line for a wild card spot by taking down the Washington Commanders last Sunday night, and they can clinch a postseason berth if a few things go their way this weekend. If New York wins at Minnesota and at least 2 of the 3 teams between Seattle, Detroit, and Washington loses, Big Blue is in. While the Vikings have a far more talented roster than the Giants, all but 4 of Minnesota's games have been one-score affairs. New York might be able to take advantage of the Vikings' weak interior offensive line, but like most teams, they don't have anyone capable of stopping Justin Jefferson. 27-26, Minnesota over the Giants. So not much more to say on that one. Moving on now. We go from the number 2 game of the week on Fox to our number 2 game of the week. The Cincinnati Bengals squaring off against the New England Patriots from Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. Iron Eagle, Charles Davis, Evan Washburn on the call for CBS. Cincinnati opening up as a 3-point favorite. And the series history between these two. Just trying to get it on my book here. All right. New England leads the all-time series 17-9. New England's won the last 3 meetings between these two, all in routes. Last meeting was 2019 in Cincinnati. New England won 34-13. Last meeting in Foxborough was 2016. New England won 35-17. The Bengals have not won in New England, have not won in Foxborough since the old Foxborough Stadium in 1986. Got to go all the way back to 1986. The last time Cincinnati won in Foxborough at the old Foxborough Stadium, and they did so in grand fashion, 31-7, the final in 86. Oh, Bullock, I hate to do it to you, but you are the leadoff man in this one. Cincinnati playing like the AFC champs. We already know that. I mean, they started slow, but they've come on. I mean, they started 0-2. They've gone 10-2 since. But your Patriots, all people are talking about with the Patriots is what in the world happened in Las Vegas. What happens in Vegas is supposed to stay in Vegas, not in this case.
Oh my gosh, that to me was the worst loss in Patriots history. I mean, so many things that could have gone wrong did go wrong. I mean, what in the world were they thinking on that? I mean, why were they trying a lateral? I mean, if I were them, I would have just taken a knee and taken a chance for overtime, but they had to do that, and oh my gosh, and it was tough to listen to all the sports talk, especially here in New England, because WEEI was pissing all over the Patriots, and rightfully so. So, if this was a game the Patriots had to have last week because of who they were going to be facing for the final 3 games. And they did a poll to see for those final 3 games, how many games were the Patriots going to win? And guess what, guys? 51% of Patriot fans said that they were not going to win a single game for those final 3 games. That just shows you the lack of confidence they have in this team. But I'm going to say this right now, and I'm going to call out all the quote-unquote bandwagoner fans out there who are jumping off this the Patriots bandwagon. I'm a diehard Patriots fan, and I know these two are very loyal to their teams. Fletch, you're loyal to your Miami Dolphins, and Florio, you're sure as hell loyal to your Buffalo Bills through the good and the bad times. Correct, my friend?
You damn right. I mean,
absolutely,
all those years in Buffalo where I had to damn near wear a paper. I damn near had to wear a paper bag over my head for many of those years. But
the point I'm trying to hear, guys.
Stay with your team, my friends. Stay with your team. Stay loyal to your team. And even if you're going through a long dry spell, and if you do, Look at me in Buffalo. I stuck with them all this time, and at long last, I'm being spoiled right now. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and the thing is, if you're gonna say, "Oh, I'm not gonna follow this team anymore because of the way they're playing," you know what? You're not a loyal Patriots fan. You're a bandwagoner. You don't care about the Patriots. So, and then if they start winning those final 3 games, and you're saying, "Oh, I'll get back on the bandwagon," you know what I'm gonna tell them? Get off the stay off the effing bandwagon because you gave up on this team and you're not a loyal Patriots fan. So, in the immortal words of Michael Wilbon, get out. So, I'm a loyal Patriots fan and I'm going to stick with them through the good and the bad. Period. And a quotation and a statement. Done. Finish. And I hate to say this. I got to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. They're the better team. They're looking like that team that went to the Super Bowl last season. And it's just going to be a tough road for the Patriots. So Cincinnati wins. Florio, it's yours. And screw all you bandwagoners who want to jump off the Patriots bandwagon and say, "Oh, I'm not going to be a Patriots fan anymore."
Yeah. But anyways, number 2 game of the week here. I mean, the AFC champs playing like the AFC champs, 10-2 after starting 0-2. And this almost was our game of the week. If New England had won that game in Vegas, this would have been our game of the week. It would have been. It really would have. But you know, it is what it is. The Bengals and Patriots could hardly be headed in more opposing directions. Cincinnati can seemingly do no wrong as they've won 6 in a row and 8 of their last 9. With a high-powered offense led by Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and a defense better at second-half adjustments than any unit in the league, the Bengals can win in multiple ways. Meanwhile, New England's insane last-second loss to the Las Vegas Raiders obscured their offense's poor performance. Mac Jones completed only 13 of 31 attempts for 112 yards, forcing a banged-up Ramondre Stevenson to carry the offensive side of the ball. The Patriots could have gotten blown out if safety Kyle Duggar hadn't managed an outstanding pick 6 at the beginning of the third quarter. New England cannot score enough points to keep up with Cincinnati, so they'll have to rely on their defense to keep them in the game. The Bengals' offensive line has shown dramatic improvement, but they could be susceptible to pass rushes from Matthew Judon and Josh Uche. A solid defensive effort paired with a run-heavy ball control strategy is the only path to a Patriots victory. But let's be realistic. It's not going to happen. I got Cincinnati winning this game. My final score, I think New England could keep it close. I think they could keep it close into the 4th, but I think Cincinnati will put it away with a late score. So I'm going to say 30-17. Cincinnati defeats New England. So not much more to say here. MF, Cincinnati, New England almost was our game of the week if New England didn't gag that game away in Vegas, but still a great matchup nonetheless. Number 2.
Still a great matchup, no doubt about it. And on top of that, Cincinnati is in the playoffs because of the Jets loss earlier tonight. Cincinnati clinches a playoff spot. So now they are locked into the postseason. And now the New England Patriots, they're literally fighting for their lives. A loss here, that might be end game for the Patriots. They're going to need to pull the inside straight. They're going to have to win out. Then they're going to need Miami to lose somewhere along the way. They're going to need the Chargers to lose somewhere along the way. And they might need the Ravens to lose somewhere along the way just to get back into the mix. But I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think Cincinnati is just too strong, too good. And they look like a team that could be a threat for the AFC again. So give me Cincinnati to win this game over New England. Anthony, it's back to you.
All right, final early game of the week. It features it's our Zonk game of the week. The Houston Texans squaring off against the Tennessee Titans from Nissan Stadium in Nashville. On the call for that one will be Andrew Catalan, James Lofton, and Amanda Renner. And Tennessee opening up Tennessee opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. Second meeting between these two division rivals. They met at the end of October in Houston, and Tennessee barely won that game, 17-10. So Tennessee adds to their series lead. Tennessee now leads the series 23-18 with their win in Houston. Believe it or not, Houston won in Nashville last year, 22-13. Houston won in Nashville last year. Tennessee's last win over Houston at home was 2020, a wild 42-36 overtime game. So Zonk game of the week, Houston and Tennessee. Here we go. Just trying to get it up here. Houston, Tennessee. All right. The Houston Texans have played some shockingly impressive football over the last 2 weeks. They took Dallas down to the wire 2 weeks ago, and despite facing an incredibly efficient Patrick Mahomes last week, they took Kansas City to overtime. Now they'll face a reeling Tennessee Titan team whose defense has looked lost during the back half of the season, and an offense that can't seem to get out of its own way. With the Jaguars breathing down the Titans' necks, could Tennessee leak a game away to the worst team in the NFL? They shouldn't. Even with their lackluster form recently, it has them as 7-point favorites at home against the hapless Texans. And even though Houston has made somewhat of a habit of keeping games close for a while, Tennessee should be able to prevail in the end. Keyword should. So I believe I have Tennessee winning this game. Yes, I do. But it's going to be close. It's going to be close again. But I think Tennessee will eke it out. 23-21, Tennessee barely gets by Houston. So not much more to say here. MF, Zonk game of the week, Houston, Tennessee. And who knows? If last week was any indication, who knows? Maybe this Zonk game might be even more entertaining than it has any right to be.
And the thing is, with Tennessee, they got no quarterback. They got Malik Willis as their quarterback. That means they're going to have to be run heavy with Derrick Henry. And it seems like everybody's starting to figure out how to handle them. Jacksonville nipping at the heels. This is a must-win for Tennessee. I think they'll be able to get the job done, but I don't think this is going to be as convincing as the experts have it. I think I'm with you, Florio. This could be a closer game than what the experts have it. So give me Tennessee to win. Not in the way that we would think. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, and with this, I mean, like you even said, I think this is going to turn out to be much closer than what everybody says it's going to be. So I'm with you. I mean, I still got Tennessee winning this one, but boy, howdy, I mean, it ain't going to be easy. So there's really nothing more for me to say. So it's yours, Florio.
All right, now we go to only 2 late games on Saturday, and they're both good ones. They're both the game of the weeks. They're the game of the week on both networks. So we start with our game of the week, which will be kicking off at 4:05. For the second time this year, MF, our game of the week is an NFC game. We got a second NFC game this year. How about it? As it will be the Washington Commanders squaring off against the San Francisco 49ers, Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins, they will be on the call for that one. And the spread favors the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco opening up as a 7-point favorite. Series history favors the San Francisco 49ers. They lead the all-time series 18-11 with a tie. The one tie was a 17-17 tie in San Fran in 1969. Last meeting was 2020 in Arizona because you remember San Francisco couldn't play at Levi's due to COVID. So they were forced to relocate to State Farm Stadium in Arizona. And Washington won the game. Washington won that one, 23-15. Their last official meeting in San Francisco was 2014. San Francisco won 17-13. Washington's last win in San Francisco was in 2004. That was a 26-16 final. So there isn't much more to say here. MF, it's our game of the week. An NFC game for the second time this season. Unreal, but hey, here it is nonetheless. The Washington Commanders coming off that tough loss to the Giants. Meanwhile, watch out for the San Francisco 49ers because this train keeps on chugging and nothing more to say here. Phil Simms to my Jim Nance. Do that thing I like. Hello, friends.
It's going to be an interesting matchup. It's going to be a very good game. And on top of that, with everything that has just happened here. The Niners already clinched the NFC West as the champions. This is going to be an interesting matchup. And then, of course, you got Washington that's literally fighting for their playoff lives right now. They would need a little bit of help along the way, but at the end of the day, right now, they're currently in the seventh spot, so something has to give. This is a must-win game for them, to say the very least. So at the end of the day, I got the 49ers winning. I just don't see them losing this one. So Niners win it. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got the 49ers winning this one. And like you said, this 49ers team, I mean, the defense continues to play so well. I mean, and of course, the offense, of course, with Christian McCaffrey. And I'll tell you what, Purdy has really been. He's been one of the big stories of this season so far since he's taken over as the starter. So, and I expect that role to continue for him. So, I got the 49ers winning this one. So, it's yours, Florio.
All right. Let me get my stuff here. All right. Let's see. The 49ers are an absolute machine, regardless of who's at quarterback. With 7 straight wins, they're the hottest team in the NFL, and it's not like they're beating up on cupcakes. 4 of those 7 wins have come against playoff caliber teams, including an 8-point victory over Seattle last Thursday night to win the division. The general assumption was that San Francisco's Super Bowl hopes went poof when Jimmy Garoppolo suffered a season-ending foot injury against MF's Dolphins, but that seemingly needs revision. Brock Purdy ranks 11th in EPA and CPOE since Week 13, ahead of the likes of Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers. How about that? Taylor Heineke, meanwhile, has not had that same level of success, prompting coach Ron Rivera to raise the possibility of switching back to Carson Wentz if things don't improve. We can't think of a better development for a Niners defense that ranks 4th in passer rating allowed at 79.8. I, too, have the San Francisco 49ers game. My final score, I'm going to go 25-14. Actually, I'm going to make that 24-14. 24-14, I got San Francisco defeating Washington. We go from our game of the week to the game of the week on the other side, the Fox game of the week, if you will. Big one here in the NFC East, as it will be the Philadelphia Eagles squaring off against the Dallas Cowboys from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, in Jerry World. Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olsen, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi, they will have it. And Dallas opening up as a 4-point favorite, believe it or not. And we'll get into the reasoning why in just a moment. Second meeting between these two division rivals. They met in Philadelphia at the end of October. Philadelphia won that game. So Philly cuts into Dallas's all-time series lead. Dallas now leads at 69-54 with the Philly win in Philly. Last year in Dallas, Dallas won 41-21. The Cowboys have actually won the last 4 meetings in a row in Dallas. Philadelphia has not won in Dallas since 2017 when they whitewashed them 37-9. So their Super Bowl year of 2017. So not much more to say here. I believe Bullock gets it here. So Bullock, game of the week on the NFC side. Fox's game of the week, if you will, even though it's on a Saturday. Philly and Dallas. The big question is Jalen Hurts for Philly.
Well, the question's already been answered. Jalen Hurts, he's not going to be playing in this game on Saturday. It's going to be Gardner Minshew who's going to get the start here. So
MF's boy, yeah.
So that's going to be, how is this team going to adjust to no Jalen Hurts here? That's going to be something to keep an eye on. So, man, this is a tough one to call here, guys. I mean, it's tough. I mean, part of me wants to go with Philadelphia, but the thing is, no Jalen Hurts, and let's not forget another thing. Dallas comes into this game probably not in a good mood because they're coming off of a loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So this team's going to be fired up. They're going to be wanting some absolute payback here. So, yeah, so as much as I hate to say this, but I am going to go with the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, in this one, if the thing is, if Jalen Hurts were playing, then perhaps I would probably go with the Eagles, but no Jalen Hurts, and with the way Dallas coming off of a tough loss, I gotta go with the Dallas Cowboys to win this one. So it's yours, Florio.
All right. Perhaps the most meaningful game of the week, the Cowboys-Eagles matchup might tell us which team is the best in the NFC, regardless of their season-end record. With the Cowboys scoring 35.5 points a game after Dak Prescott's return, we know that they can run up the score and turn in explosive plays. The combination of CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Ezekiel Elliott, and Tony Pollard makes for a difficult team to cover. The Eagles, however, rank 6th in points allowed and have done an increasingly better job defending the run. They still have one of the top pass defenses in the NFL, despite the loss of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They match up well with any passing offense and can win with pressure or coverage. The other side of the ball might matter more. The Cowboys' 7th-ranked defense by points allowed will be up against the Eagles' 2nd-ranked offense by points scored, but that's not the whole story. Though Jalen Hurts is a unique weapon that enables the running game while maintaining an efficient passing game, the Cowboys seem uniquely suited to stopping this kind of threat. They can man up receivers and send Micah Parsons or Anthony Barr they would have constantly been on Hurts duty had he played. Not only that, but the Eagles have racked up their impressive statistics against a slightly more forgiving schedule, so it might be easier to believe in the Cowboys, especially at home. And you know what? I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys to win this game. No Jalen Hurts. As great as Gardner Minshew is, I don't know if he can handle this. So I'm going to say Dallas wins. I'm with Bullock on this. I'm going to say Dallas wins this one, 33-25. Give me Dallas to upset Philly and bounce back after that collapse in Jacksonville. So not much more to say here. Dallas, after that demoralizing loss, now they have a chance to get back in it here. Now that Jalen Hurts has been ruled out, and your boy Gardner Minshew in.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's a lot of people. Everybody's starting to feel that way too. Even Vegas. Dallas was maybe a 1.5 point favorite, but then minutes after the big announcement that that Jalen was out and Gardner was in, the line exploded up to 6 for Dallas. That Dallas was a 6 point favorite. Now it's starting to creep back down. I think Vegas was like, whoa, wait a minute. That's a little bit of a panic. So I think they realized that was kind of a panic move, and now they're trying to get that number back down. So we'll see how it plays out. But I'm with you guys go. I feel like Dallas is I think they're gonna make a big run here. So yeah, I totally agree. Give me the Dallas Cowboys to win this game. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
All right, guys, and now we're going to move on to what will undoubtedly be an emotional scene as we move into our next game come Saturday night. We have a prime time Saturday night game. It'll be kicking off at 8:15, and this game will be over on the NFL Network. As this game will honor the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. It'll be one day after the anniversary. Now that we're past midnight, it's actually today. 50 years ago today, December 23rd, 1972, the Immaculate Reception that put the Pittsburgh Steelers on the map as an NFL franchise when they defeated the then Oakland Raiders in a playoff game. what many are calling the most iconic play in NFL history. And a certain individual was in the middle of that play. He was the one who scored the winning touchdown, and unfortunately, he just passed away. So we'll get in that in a moment. But let's set it up, as it will be the Las Vegas Raiders squaring off against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Acrisure Stadium, formerly Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, on the NFL Network. A lot of names here, so here we go. It's going to be Rich Eisen, Michael Irvin, Steve Mariucci, Kurt Warner, and both sidelines will be covered. Allison Williams and Steve Weish will serve as the sideline reporters in that one. And there was something I wanted to look up here. I don't remember.
Was it the TV?
Oh, yes.
Thing
Yeah. Yep.
in
That's
the city?
it. Yep. Yeah, because not everybody has the NFL Network, as we know. So I do have local affiliates for those of you who don't have the NFL Network. So for Las Vegas, you can watch the game on KTNV ABC 13. That's KTNV ABC 13 for Las Vegas. Pittsburgh, you can watch the game on KDKA CBS 2. KDKA CBS 2 for our friends in Pittsburgh who want to tune into this Raiders Steelers matchup on Saturday night if you don't have the NFL Network. Spread favors Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh opening up as a 2.5-point favorite. Series history favors the Raiders. Raiders lead the regular season series 14-10. Raiders have won the last 2 meetings in this series, including in Pittsburgh last year. MF, you and I should know we had it, believe it or not. And the Raiders won that game by a score of 26-17 early in the 2021 season. I think that was week 2, I think. Raiders beat and then the Raiders also beat Pittsburgh in 2018, 24-21 in Oakland. Pittsburgh last beat the Raiders overall and at home in 2015, a wild 38-35 score there. So I believe I started off, and let's be realistic, folks. It's going to be an emotional scene because if for all you Pittsburgh Steelers fans, Franco Harris was one of the heart and souls of this team, if not the heart and soul of this team. And he passed away about a day or two ago. 50 years, he passed away at the age of 72. And we know what this man meant to the Pittsburgh Steelers franchise. So much history. And, you know, he was, like I said, the heart and soul of this team. And he ended with 12,120 rushing yards, 4.1 yards a carry, 91 rushing touchdowns, 307 catches for 2,287 receiving yards, and 9 receiving touchdowns, 4 Super Bowl championships, MVP of Super Bowl 9, Offensive Rookie of the Year in 1972, won the NFL Man of the Year award in 1976, a first-team All-Pro in 1977, a 2-time second-team All-Pro in 1972 and 1975. Every year from 1972 to 1980, he made the Pro Bowl. He led the NFL in rushing touchdowns in 1976, a member of the 1970s All-Decade Team, member of the Pittsburgh Steelers All-Time Team, member of the Pittsburgh Steelers Hall of Honor. Also, his number 32 was retired by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also in the Pittsburgh Pro Football Hall of Fame, and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1990. And of course, the Immaculate Reception was what brought him and the Steelers to the dance. Without that, if they don't make that play, are we even talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers as a franchise? I don't know. I highly doubt it. But getting into the game, as we get to the game prediction and whatnot, and notes, Coach Mike Tomlin is somehow both widely respected and still underrated. You can count on one hand the number of coaches who consistently maximize the talent of their roster, and Tomlin is near, if not at the top of that list. The Steelers at 6-8 likely won't make the playoffs this year, but the fact that they're still mathematically alive entering Week 16, despite ranking 27th in point differential and 28th in both yards per play and net points per drive, is astounding. But let's be clear, they're a very limited roster and shouldn't be getting points against a better Las Vegas Raider team. Las Vegas has won 4 out of 5 and could have a real shot at getting into the dance by winning out. Josh Jacobs might find the sledding tough against the NFL's number 6 run defense by average, but the matchup is far more favorable for Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. Only 4 teams allow more yards per pass at 7.2 than Pittsburgh does. So I'm going with the Las Vegas Raiders to but then again, you never know. Pittsburgh could actually find a way, to channel the spirit of Franco Harris, because Franco Harris would have been there if he was, if not for his passing. But he would have been right there, front row center. But you could go with Pittsburgh here, but I just got to go with Vegas, especially after that insane win against the Patriots. I'm going to go with Vegas, but if Pittsburgh were to win, I would not at all be surprised, especially with all that emotion because of Franco Harris. So there will not be a dry eye in the house in Pittsburgh. What will be a chilly Saturday night for sure. So I'm going to go with Vegas. I'm going to say 24-16. Vegas gets by Pittsburgh, but if the Steelers were to somehow win it, I wouldn't be surprised. But regardless, Saturday night, it's going to be an emotional night because Steeler fans, they're all going to have Franco Harris on their mind, and rightly so.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. The 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception is kind of marred a little bit because of what happened to Franco. I think as a Steeler fan, it's so ironic, and it's so weird and interesting that on the weekend that you're gonna honor one of the greatest moments of your team's history, that this happens. I don't believe in divine interventions. I don't believe in karma. I don't believe in anything like that. But I feel that Pittsburgh is going to play their best game on Saturday night because of the Franco Harris thing. And I do believe that they will win this game. I actually disagree with you, Anthony. I do have Pittsburgh winning this. And the thing is that I do believe what it's going to be. I think the steel curtain defense that, because you're not just talking about the Immaculate Reception. You're going to have members of that steel curtain defense from the Pittsburgh Steelers, from that team going to be there. Yes, everybody's going to be talking about the offense and everybody's going to talk about that moment, but it's a team. It was that squad that made NFL history, that paved the way, that became one of the best dynasties. We talk about dynasties, we talk about some of the greatest teams in NFL history. Pittsburgh is in the same conversation as the 1980s of the 49ers, the Cowboys of the 1990s, the 1960s of the Green Bay Packers. You can talk about the 2000s that's been dominated by the New England Patriots, the 20 years of dominance by New England for the last 20 years. Pittsburgh is right there. And Pittsburgh's first title run was because of that. Now, like you said, if Pittsburgh never won that game, if that didn't happen, what would we talk about? Maybe we'd be talking about the Raiders as a dynasty because they were making a run around that same time where the Raiders were dominating in the 1970s, 1980s, a little bit of the 90s, early 90s, yes, later 90s, not so much. But then they had at the turn of the century, they had some really good teams, made a run at a couple Super Bowl. Tried to make a couple of Super Bowl runs, got to one Super Bowl, should have been in a second if it wasn't for a bull crap officiating call in the snow. You know where I'm going, Florio. We were there when we had that game. I was lead commentator when that game happened. But I will say this. I believe that Pittsburgh is going to draw off that emotion and that energy from the death of Franco Harris, and I do believe they will take it out on the Raiders This is the perfect storm for Pittsburgh to win this game. So I think the stars are aligning, and I would never do this, but I do believe it's fate. I do believe it's fate. I do believe there's some kind of prophecy or a little bit of that voodoo magic, but I do believe the Steelers are going to win this game because they don't want to let that memory of Franco Harris go to waste. They don't want to let that moment of 1970, that glorious moment of the Immaculate Reception. They don't want to let that go. This is not just a Pittsburgh thing. This is a state of Pennsylvania thing. Blue collar, hard nosed, working class. That's what the Steelers That's what the Steelers are about. And they're gonna show it to the Raiders on Saturday night. I got really nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, like you said, this is going to be an emotional night when, obviously, when they honor Franco Harris, and he definitely would have been there for this game, and Pittsburgh is going to play their heart out for him. So yeah, so I disagree, and I got to go with Pittsburgh as well. So there's really nothing more to say. So it's yours, Florio.
All right, that concludes the Christmas Eve Saturday portion. Now let's move on to the Christmas Sunday portion. There's only 3 games. It's a triple header on Christmas Day, and we're going to start it off with what I personally believe is hands down the most exciting of the 3 games, to be honest with you. A game that will kick off at 1 o'clock on Fox. The Green Bay Packers squaring off against MF's Miami Dolphins. Dolphins finally back at home at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami after a long road trip. We got Joe Davis, Daryl Moose Johnston, and Pam Oliver. They will be in Miami for that one. And Miami opening up as a 4-point favorite. Miami leads the all-time series 10-5. However, the Packers have won the last 2 meetings in a row in this series. Last meeting, 2018, in Green Bay at Lambeau. Green Bay won going away 31-12. Last meeting in Miami, 2014. Green Bay won 27-24. The Dolphins, the last time the Dolphins beat the Packers at home, you got to go back to the year 2000. 2000 was the last time Miami won at home against Green Bay. 28-20 was the final. And I believe MF starts this one off. So, MF, it's only fitting you started off. Rough sledding for your Dolphins. 3-game losing streak, all on the road. Getting manhandled by the Niners. Tough loss against the Chargers, but an even tougher loss against my Buffalo Bills. Hey, mega power handshake for a hell of a game, my friend.
Yeah, I know that one. That's the one that really bothers me more than anything else. We lost to the Niners because we did not play good at all. We didn't play good against we did not play good against the Chargers. We deserved to lose that game. We had Buffalo right where we wanted them. We had them. And then the snow hit and Buffalo just kicked it into another gear and took Miami right out of the game. So no fault of ours on that one. Miami played literally almost the perfect game. The way you need to beat Buffalo, we had them right where we wanted them. And a couple of bad plays, a couple of mistakes that we made, Buffalo was able to capitalize. And the next thing you know, it was game over. So, yeah, that one stung. But now we're at home against Green Bay. Green Bay hasn't been great lately. They have gotten a little bit of some momentum going, but it is Miami. And the Dolphins realizes, look, all we got to do is win 2 games. If we win 2 games, we're in the playoffs. We're in. The Jets lost tonight. That's a major help. If New England loses, that will be a major help because that means if Miami wins, all we would need to do is beat New England next week, and we would not have to worry about any scenario. We would not have to worry about nothing else. Just win that game, and we are in. And that's the ultimate goal. That was the goal that a lot of people were putting on the Dolphins earlier in the year was we got to make the playoffs. You know, with the team that we got, with the arsenal that we had, by acquiring Armstead, getting Tyreek Hill, giving Tua a great coach in Mike McDaniel, and for most of the season, Tua has been at an MVP type level. Unfortunately, in the last 3 games, he has not. He's looked pedestrian. He's looked like the Tua that was against the Brian Flores' led Miami Dolphins, where Tua struggled. Now we have a team, and if you notice, Miami was running the football very effectively last week against Bills. Buffalo had no answer for the running attack. For early in the game, Buffalo was stymied. They couldn't believe it. They had this game plan of, okay, we're gonna stop Tua in the air. We're gonna lock down their receivers. And this, I don't think Buffalo was ready for that running attack. I don't think Buffalo knew that. Miami actually has a running attack.
Raheem Mostert. Oh my goodness, he torched us. Oh
yeah,
God.
So
I mean, that was like the Raheem Mostert we saw in San Fran.
Yeah, and that's what we were hoping for all the season, for this whole season. Mostert and Jeff Wilson has been that 1-2 punch. We haven't seen the explosion yet, but then Raheem Mostert finally realized, hey, I see a gap. I'm going to bust right through that gap. And he did. He broke one run. I think it was like a 60, 70-yard run. And I know Florio, in the back of his mind, he's like, this is not the Miami Dolphins I was thinking we were going to be running into this week. What is going on? So I know there was a little bit of some nerves for Anthony. I know he got a little nervous.
I was tempted to push the panic button, I'll be honest. When it was 29-21, I was like, oh no. I was like, oh no, don't tell me they're going to steal this damn thing. No.
Yep. So,
but JA-17 found a way like he always does. Thanks.
Yeah, I granted. So now Miami comes back home, and let me tell you, Miami at home is like night and day. Better offensively, better defensively. You notice the numbers. And let me throw some numbers at you guys. Every time Miami is at home, they're averaging 35 points per game at home. Defensively, Miami only gives up 17 points per game on the defensive side. And now you got Aaron Rodgers, the American hero, that receiving core in that heat, in that uncomfortable position with the humidity and everything else at the Hard Rock, knowing that there's a playoff spot on the line. You know Miami has been like, you know what? We have to clear our heads. Let's get back home. Let's get that home cooking again. Let's go back to what brought us to the dance. Now, the one thing that Green Bay is really good at, they have a very good pass defense. So Tua might be having a little bit of some struggles. He might have some problems. However, if Mostert picks off where he left off in Buffalo, if he starts running wild like that, if Jeff Wilson comes back and he starts running crazy, I don't see Miami losing this game at all. I think Miami is pissed off. They are angry, and they know they let one get away in Buffalo. They are going to take that anger, that vengeance, and they are going to explode all over Green Bay. This is going to be a Miami massacre. 30-13, Miami Dolphins puts it on Green Bay and will be one step closer to the AFC playoff picture. So, Michael Bullock, it's yours, bro.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I mean, Green Bay, they got a big win here. Now they got to go to Miami to face the Dolphins and you know the Dolphins are not. not happy right now. So yeah, so I got the Dolphins winning this one as well. So it's yours, Florio.
Yeah. What a game, Miami and Buffalo. Oh man. As of right now, MF, that was our game of the year. No doubt about it. But there could be an even more game of the year if a certain game lives up to that hype next week. But we'll address that at the end. But oh boy. I apologize here. My notes here I'm a little frozen here right now. So but man, yeah. I'll be honest. I was I was leaning towards the pushing the panic button, but Buffalo found a way to get it done, and that 2-point conversion by JA-17 when he was literally flying like Superman, for goodness sakes, but ended up being the difference. But nonetheless, all right, I got it now. Still holding a little bit. All right. Time to stop messing around, Miami Dolphins. Teams can bounce back from 3-game losing streaks. Miami has once already this year, but the historical track record of teams that lose 4 straight is not great. The Dolphins are still a pretty safe bet to get into the postseason thanks to an 8-3 start and the general ineptitude of the Jets, Patriots, and Titans, but even that grace runs out at some point. The Dolphins need to win at least one and probably 2 of their last 3 to get in, but simply qualifying for the playoffs isn't the goal. Making some noise is. And to do that, the Dolphins would be well served to avoid facing the number 2 seed with the wild card round trip to either Buffalo or Kansas City that comes with it. The Green Bay Packers, meanwhile, need a Christmas miracle to get Aaron Rodgers back to the playoffs. They can be eliminated this weekend with a loss to the Dolphins and a Commanders win in San Francisco. Victories against Chicago and the LA Rams kept the Packers alive, but the reality is they're not a good team. They have just 1 win this year against teams currently with winning records. I think this game is going to be closer than MF thinks, but MF, I do agree with you. I do have the Miami Dolphins winning this game as well, but it's a lot. It's going to be a lot. I don't think it's going to be a rout. I think it's going to be a lot closer than you think. But I do have Miami winning. My final score, 31-30. I got Miami barely getting by Green Bay. So needless to say, this is definitely somewhat of an eliminator game for these two. Well, especially for Green Bay. So 31-30, I'm going with Miami to win. So with that, let's move on to the second Christmas game. 4:30 kickoff on CBS. By the way, I forgot to mention the Vegas-Pittsburgh game is our number 4 game of the week. And this next game is our number 7 game of the week, as it will feature the Denver Broncos squaring off against the Los Angeles Rams from SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. And this game will be simulcast on CBS and Nickelodeon. Yeah. So for CBS, hello, friends. Jim Nance, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson. And for Nickelodeon, it will be Noah Eagle, Nate Burleson, Gabrielle Nevaeh Green, and Young Dylan. They will be on the call for Nickelodeon. So find my spread here as it refreshes. Auto refresh here. Spread favors the it favors Denver. Denver opening up as a 2.5-point favorite. Series history favors the Rams. Rams lead the all-time series 9-5. Rams have won the last 4 meetings in a row against Denver, including the last meeting in Denver, 23-20 in 2018. This will be the first time they're meeting in LA since 1994, and the Rams won that game 27-21. The Broncos have not won at the Rams since they were the LA Rams all the way back in 1982, a 27-24 win for Denver. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, Denver Broncos, LA Rams, the second of the 3 games on Christmas Day. Bullock, are you there? All right, I'm guessing we probably lost him. All right. I'll just I'll take it for a spin here, unless Bullock stepped away or something. But all right. Yeah, blech game here. Obviously, going into the season, they thought this was going to be, an exciting game. Russell Wilson coming to Denver and the Rams defending Super Bowl champs. I get it, but a matchup between two teams in Western divisions that had much higher preseason expectations. Neither saw the quarterback play that they paid for. But the Denver Broncos have stayed the course with their passer, and the Rams have moved on to Baker Mayfield, who looked good in his first showing, but disappointed this past Monday night. It's difficult to tell who has the better quarterback, but the Broncos might have the better defense. Even without Bradley Chubb, their collection of defensive linemen, linebackers, and secondary players has played more impressively than the Rams' defense has, despite fielding stars in Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. With Donald out of this week's game, it's even more difficult to project a high-level defensive performance out of LA. It's hard to trust the Broncos to score, but in this circumstance, it might be harder to trust the Rams to do so. So, tough call here. It's a tough one, but I'm going to take a chance on the Rams here. I'm going to go with the Rams, especially with it being at SoFi. I'm going to go with the Rams to win this one. I'm going to say fine. All right, we got Bullock back in. All right. Bullock, Denver, and the Rams. Your thoughts?
Yeah, both of these teams both have nothing to play for. Both are out of the playoff picture here, so I'm gonna go with the Rams here. They are at home, and yeah, so there's really nothing more for me to add. So you can finish up, Florio.
Yeah, I was about to get to the final score for me. I'm with Bullock on this one. I'm going to take a chance on the Rams here. I'm going to say 21-14. The Rams barely get by Denver in what will be a meh game. So not much more to say here. MF, Denver, and the Rams, number 7 game of the week, second game of Christmas, triple header.
Agreed. I'm going to go with the Rams as well. So nothing more to say, Anthony. Move on.
All right, and we move on to the final game of the Christmas triple header, Sunday Night Football on NBC, 8:20 p.m. Yeah, we got saddled with a game here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers squaring off against the Arizona Cardinals from the home of Super Bowl 57, State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark as always, and Tampa Bay opening up as a 7.5-point favorite. And if this thing moves here. All right, here we go. I think I got it. All right. I just had it. All right, here we go. Arizona and Tampa. Series history favors the Arizona Cardinals, not by much. Arizona leads only 11-10. Their last meeting was 2019 in Tampa. Tampa won 30-27. Last meeting in Arizona was 2017. Arizona won a wild one, 38-33. The Buccaneers have not won in Arizona since 2010, and that was a wild game, 38-35. So let's get into this one. For a brief moment, it looked like we were back to the old Tom Brady when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers played the Cincinnati Bengals last week. That didn't last, but part of that has to do with how good the Bengals defense can be. The Arizona Cardinals don't have the same defensive prowess and have a lot of vulnerabilities of which Tampa Bay is suited to take advantage. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans have been getting more productive, and there isn't enough talent in Arizona's secondary to fully contain them. Even if the Buccaneers are forced to rely on the running game, there's not much that J.J. Watt can do alone without better support around him. That said, Tampa Bay doesn't have a consistent offense right now and will need to keep pace with the Cardinals' attack. That, however, isn't such a tall task. Neither Kyler Murray nor Colt McCoy will be available for Arizona this week, and they will be forced to start Trace McSorley. As such, the Buccaneers will have to be concerned about a running threat from the QB position, something that was not an issue with McCoy. That said, there's a reason McSorley was behind McCoy on the depth chart. But nonetheless, I am going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this one. I'm going to say 24-20. Tampa Bay gets by Arizona on Christmas Sunday night. So not much more. MF, Tampa Bay, and Arizona.
I'm gonna go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they'll win. Bullet, quick thought.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bucks as well. So, yeah, I think we got one more game.
Yes, we do. And it's our number 6 game of the week on our side of the ledger to close it out. Monday Night Football on ESPN, 8:15 kickoff, of course. And it's a matchup that will feature the Los Angeles Chargers squaring off against the Indianapolis Colts. Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salters on the call. Chargers opening up as a 4.5-point favorite. Chargers lead the all-time series 17-10. Last meeting was 2019 in LA. Chargers won a wild one, 30-24 in overtime. Last meeting in Indy, 2016. Colts won that one 26-22. The Chargers' last win in Indy was 2010, 36-14 beat down on a Sunday night game. So, all right, MF, you start off the final game of the week. The Chargers and the Colts are number 6 game on Monday night to close it out.
Yeah, and I do believe it's going to be the Chargers. First off, the Chargers are playing for a playoff position. Indy, because of the outcome from tonight's game, is officially eliminated from the playoffs, so they're playing for nothing at this point now. Now they're just playing for pride, but I just don't feel like I think they've pretty much have given up. They ran their course. They let Nick Foles now be the starter of the team. I just don't see it happening, and especially with the Chargers, who's playing for everything right now. Yeah, I got the Chargers winning, so there's really nothing more to add. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I got the Chargers winning this one as well. So, Florio, it's yours.
Okay. Indianapolis has decided to bench Matt Ryan for Nick Foles, which might actually lead to a better Colts offense. The ceiling, however, still isn't so high, especially with Jonathan Taylor sidelined. The Chargers' defense isn't great, but they have some pieces that can do well in the right circumstances. These seem to be the right circumstances. The Chargers' offense, led by Justin Herbert, has sky-high potential with Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, and Mike Williams all available. The Colts' defense has been good, especially with Stephon Gilmore shadowing top receivers, but it's prone to collapses. The biggest issue for LA will be their own secondary and how they match up, especially with an uneven pass rush in front of them that can be dominant or timid depending on the day. Still, flashes from Asante Samuel Jr. and Michael Davis give the Charger defense some hope and should allow them to contain an unimpressive Colts offense. So with that, I agree. I'm going with the LA Chargers to win this one as well. My final score, 30-20. Chargers win. So with that will put the bow on this Week 16 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Thursday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We'll be back with you tomorrow night, 11 p.m. Following AEW Rampage, we'll be over on MF's channel, Brace Fan 95, for the Cerebral Smack Talk. Friday night SmackDown, AEW Rampage. We're going to review both of those shows tomorrow night. And then Monday night, special week of shows. We'll let you know if we decide to start the show earlier on Monday night. We'll put our heads together tomorrow maybe, and we'll figure it out. But for right now, Monday night, special edition of Talking Wrestling TXN in place of Ridiculously Raw, as it will be our 2022 year in review special, as well as our awards. We're going to hand out some hardware like we always do. We're going to have our awards. We'll have more detail on that tomorrow night in the future content. Wednesday night, it's going to be, in place of Wednesday Night Madness, it's going to be the same thing, only for TXN Sports World. It'll be the TXN Sports World 2022 year in review. And in addition to our year in review, we will also preview the final Thursday night football game with the Dallas Cowboys and the Tennessee Titans. And we will preview the New Year's 6 bowl games on top of that. That'll be on Wednesday. Thursday, Week 17 edition of NFL Thursday. Of course, we'll recap Cowboys Titans. Notable games for next week: Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens, Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots. We don't have too many. We also have New York Jets. We got the San Francisco 49ers and the Las Vegas Raiders, New York Jets and the Seattle Seahawks, Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. And without a doubt, the game of next week. And it's all, and I can confirm it's our game of the week next week. MF, get ready for what could be a preview of maybe the divisional round or maybe even the AFC Championship game if all goes well. The Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals. What a game that's going to be. That's going to be a fun ass game. I can't wait for that one. So that's next week, and then of course Cerebral Smack Talk follows that, and that's it. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk with MF, I'm BraceB95, Anthony Florio here for good old MF, Michael Fletcher, for Michael Bullock, and in spirit, Dee Dee Woodson, the First Lady. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday, and until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching the Week 16 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Thursday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio. So long. Bye, everybody. Bye.